Welcome to the Buddy Hug Summer Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Janin. I'm here with my co-host, Dallas Leduc. We're having a ton of fun doing these. We're recording them. We're having some great guests on. That makes it so much more fun talking to great people all across the provinces and into the United States as well. Makes it a lot of fun. We're learning a lot. Anyways, Dallas, what have you been up to lately?
Well, you mean since the 2 hours since we finished recording the last podcast? Not a lot.
Yes. Well, today's an odd day. Normally we only record these in the evening, but due to some, I don't know how I'll say that
scheduling.
again.
We had,
due to scheduling.
Melanie,
that kids.
female. We had Melanie on, that female farmer on, and she had some commitments she had tonight, but she was able in the afternoon to record that. So if you haven't caught the episode with Melanie, that's a go listen to this. She's one smart woman. She knows what she's talking about. Pretty awesome line of machinery and a great farm history going on there. But so that was good. But I just did a little crop tour, a little crop check here. I actually found some crop. It looks like I know what I'm doing. It looks pretty awesome, but it's that pasture break. And if you've watched any of my TikTok videos, it was pasture 2 years ago. Last year it was chem follow. This year was direct seeded to Durham, and it's caught some showers that almost no place else in the farm has caught. It got about 3 inches in about 10 days. So I have Durham there that looks just absolutely amazing. I hope it makes it.
I'm praying for you, Dallas, and I'm not a religious man at all. I'm praying that you get some rains and you can have some good crops, because I want to see those 3 New Holland combines and all them trucks of yours stacked, hoop to hoop, on one of your TikTok videos.
So do I. I really do. But something like that, we probably only take 2 combines that far over. Because when you're running 2 combines and a cart in a pretty good Durham crop, you run the ass right off a couple of truck drivers. But comes the lentils and slow combine, and we run the 3 of them. But I'm pretty happy today. We've actually got a guest that's been one of the biggest supporters of the Bunny Hug Farmers podcast, right from the very word go, Mr. Kyle Perron from Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, a.k.a. on TikTok, the King of Pilsner. Hi, Kyle. Welcome to the Bunny Hug Farmers.
Well, thanks for having me.
It took us a little while to fit you in between your schedule and our schedule and everybody else's, but I'm glad you were able to come over, join us up. And so tell me a little about yourself and your history and all that stuff like that. We'll just take it away, Kyle.
I grew up on a farm, born and raised. It was a small farm, I think 8 quarters, and then we rented up to 10, got rid of them, bought some, and I don't know, it's 9 quarters now anyway. Started with 6601 pull type combine. I'm sure a few people have ran those, and just Dad slowly upgraded equipment, but he never ever upgraded land. So there really wasn't a need for me he couldn't really pay me, to stay there. So I went after high school and got a job at Swift Machine and Welding. Got my second year machinist. Then we were kind of an oil field machine shop, and that was in 2008, 2009 when oil crashed. So we got a laser cutter, so I ran one of those. That's fun for about a week, and then that's the most boring job you could ever have. And after that, then I started my career in the oil patch.
What'd you do in the patch? I used to work for Sandgel way back in the day, and even before that, if you're in Swiftcurrent, I used to be a roughneck for Sage back in the day.
You're a little older than me then. I started for Diamond, and that was
were you Diamond or Diamond Sage, or just Diamond again?
Sage.
Okay,
Diamond Sage, because that would have been 2011, and then worked for them for almost a year. Did a little stint with Mustang Well Services. We were up at Elrose doing completions, and then I went combining in the States for a year. That was fun.
You're one of those guys. You're up there with me and Ken are the custom combiners of the group so far.
I went with Bashutski Harvesting. Ran a CTS2 John Deere.
Oh, those are good machines. I nearly bought one of them years ago.
Mini Claws combines.
So when you were back with Diamond Sage, were you in the Sage shop?
Which one was the Sage shop? The one by Com Center.
Yeah, it's the one. It's the brick building there, and it's got the derrick on the roof.
we were out of that shop.
Yep. So, hey, we worked out of the same shop.
We did. I was only in there to grab stuff in the mornings usually, but
Me too. So once my drunken driller picked me up, we'd stop by the shop and grab a few tools, and then I actually can't say he was drunk. He was probably wasn't very sober though either. How can you be the third guy picked up in the morning and the truck still be ice cold? And I just never could figure that out. I mean, the first two guys must have been nearly froze when they got picked up because that truck hadn't ran for 2 seconds in the driveway, and he's picking guys up.
geez. Yeah, no, I was the last pickup, so I always got into a nice warm truck.
And if you don't know, that's often Kyle and I obviously worked service rigs. And when you work service rigs, you're home every night. But the driller or the derrickman or whoever, somebody's got the crew truck. And they fire it up in the morning, and they just, like, play school bus. They just pick you all up at your door because most of them guys don't got driver's licenses because somehow they lost them. So they pick you up in the morning. You stop at the shop, you grab tools, top off the fuel tank and the gas for the Mobastos, and then you head out to the rig. And out of Swift Current, we were all the way down to Dollard, all the way up to pretty well Leader, it's all over. So, oh yeah, bringing back some terrible memories. Thanks, Kyle.
I was even further south than you. There was one time I was up in the stick and I could see the bar at Frontier.
I can't say I've done that.
That travel got old fast. I was get picked up at 10 to 5 in the morning and get home usually around midnight every day. And they wouldn't get us a hotel room.
And you don't get paid that well for that much travel time.
No, definitely not a diamond.
But
I don't know
it
what
was
they are now, but I didn't get paid much at all.
Mine was, I was really dating myself. Can you imagine working a service rig job, no sub, $14.55 an hour. That's what I was making when I was there. I believe I was there in 99 and 2000.
You can make more than that pumping gas now.
It just shows how old I am.
Well, 2000, so I started in 2011, and the starting wage was $25 an hour. And after 3 months, he went up to 28. That was in 10, 11 years, I guess.
Yeah. And it still was an awful job. And then I left a welding job at $10.50 an hour to go make $14.55. I thought I had the world by the tail because the overtime on them checks, usually you'd work your 40 hours a week and then you do your overtime on top of that, which was 22 something an hour. Well, my overtime hours were usually more than your regular time hours. And so you made good money. I thought at 99 I made good money.
Getting overtime after, well, some days it was even Tuesday or Wednesday we were starting overtime for the week.
Yeah. Maybe that things have changed, but I really doubt it.
Oh, they have. I ended my oil patch career at RB Trucking in Swift Current. And as a truck driver, I could show most of the roughnecks up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't like that. But yeah, no, it's more your cushy 8 to 5 kind of job, and you can't really, bug people like you used to, and it's not what it was.
Which was probably a good thing because it was.
Yeah, it was hard on a guy, not only just physically.
Oh yeah, he'd stop at Shonovan Bar on the way home for some
pull into
road
the back
pops.
of Kings. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So
from there,
after your trucking days, where did you end up then?
Well, there was combining in the States was next. We did 2 stops in Kansas, 1 in South Dakota. We did organic winter wheat there. And Montana, Winnett, Montana.
Do you remember the town names?
Yeah. The first one was Buckland, Kansas. We
Hello, Buckland.
combined around there. Yeah. And then Colby, Kansas was the second stop. Then it was Martin, South Dakota, Winnett, Montana. Those were where I learned that we don't have big hills in Saskatchewan. Because what we did with combines, you shouldn't have done. I don't know how they broke that land to begin with. And then from there, we went back up to Kelleher, or Lee Ross area, did some stuff for his family. And then North Dakota and this is something that you'll be jealous of, Dallas, I did corn.
I will do corn, and I made a video last fall wanting to do corn, and I'm still going to do corn. I thank all the people. I was offered a lot of places to come out and do corn, so I'm pretty humbled by that. Hell, I got offered to go do cotton. Come down, I'll show you how they do cotton and legitimate combine cotton farmer. So I will do that. And this year, I think we're going to have an early enough harvest. I'll probably have time this fall.
If you ever get to do corn, that's the biggest rush I've ever had in a combine. Watching, you're staring at the corn and then it just disappears. And it's coming in. Because those CTS2s, I think they had 235 bushel hoppers, and I think you had about a 20 bushel window when the high level alert came on. And if you weren't unloading, there was, I think, 40 bushels in the combine coming into that tank, and you had 20 bushels on the ground.
Yep. Oh, yeah. The cart is permanently underneath your auger almost. You have...
Pretty much, yeah. You struggle to do the outside, and then you count your rows and then work from the inside out in little sections, and the cart just runs.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's one thing.
awesome.
I watched the Millennial Farmer a little bit on YouTube, and he's got the 2 combines, runs them in the soybeans, and I kind of had it figured out, but I just couldn't understand. Like here farming where I farm, we run all our combines. If we got an ass to sit in the seat and they mechanically can run, we run them on my family farm. But I seen he shuts his one down, but as I got more time watching him, I said, yep, that makes a lot of sense why he's only running 1 combine out of his 2. The poor grain cart guy would never keep up.
No, we had 3 combines and we shut 1 down. And we usually got a truck that either the farmer hired or he provided. So it's 4 trucks, 2 combines, 1 850 bushel grain cart, 4 miles to the elevator, no wait times. We'd start about 10, and by 2 in the afternoon, we were sitting full waiting for trucks. And that was only about a 220 bushel crop.
Only 220. I get some quarter sections
that only ran about 120 last year.
Oh, yes, that's another thing that we'll get into a little bit more on here. So we'll stick with some history. So you finished your custom combining stint.
Yeah.
Then where'd that lead to?
My uncles, I guess, had a flush by and rod truck up out of, Denzel, Macklin area. So I moved up there. That's where my mom's from. And I was there from 2012 to 18 or early 19? I can't quite remember, and they farm too. So I was on my days off helping them farm and stuff. And it was different farming because it was an air seeder and then you harrow packed everything. And then eventually my uncle did get an air drill. But yeah, I've been pretty much all over with the oil patch career. Then after that, got a job out of Lloyd pulling Super Bs and some triaxle work for 5 months and moved back to Swift and got a job at RB Trucking and was there 2 years, and then now I'm at where I'm at.
And that is?
You don't want to say. It's just south of Admiral-ish area. It's family friends that I've known forever.
Pretty sweet gig you got going on there?
Yeah, I can't complain. We're a young crew. We're not scared to do anything. I mean, there's usually a YouTube video to get you in the right direction after you realize you took on too big of a project. No, I really like it. We have our irrigation. It's always fun after a depressing crop to get into that at the end of the year. And
But how many acres of irrigation do you guys run?
It's just over 300. Yeah, one's bigger and one's around 80 acres.
So is there a well at that irrigation? Is it a pivot, sprinkler?
It's, 2 pivots. One's 5 tier and one's a 10 tier, and we suck out of Duncairn Dam.
Okay, so you're pumping to it then.
Yeah, all electric pumps is what we use.
Okay, how many horsepower is motors on the pump? I'm curious what kind of power that would be using.
The little one is 60 horse, and then the big one is 100 at the water and 60 booster in the middle.
Okay, so you're using 3-phase power then.
Yeah, we got 3-phase converters. We don't have 3-phase ran out there yet. If we get more, then that would definitely be in the cards.
Mm-hmm. No, my neighbor recently, well, not recently, but probably about 5 years ago, had 3-phase power ran into his bin yard. I think they had to go about 5 miles, and it was over 10 grand a mile, and it was all above ground. It was over 10 grand a mile to have it ran in.
Ooh, that sounds pricey.
Yeah, we'd be about that. It'd be about 5 miles to the nearest 3-phase.
But when you can generate 100-acre Durham,
yeah, you can put some money into it. I mean, I don't know the numbers. I'm not the numbers guy, but I know there's definitely some maintenance to them. But what you can do with it, irrigation is unreal. I've seen spots. I mean, yield monitors and combines take it as you want for the accurateness, but I've seen over 200 in Durham before in the good parts.
So how many inches of water would they be putting on their crop a year then with the pivot?
We're allowed 12 inches per acre a year. That's all monitored by the watershed.
Yeah,
so with the watershed, that's the amount they allow you, just so there's water left over for other people, or what's the science behind that?
Well, Duncairn Dam, there's us and a couple other people that irrigate out of it, and then it feeds Swift Current, and that's their like actual drinking water. And then you got down the line all the flood irrigation by Rush Lake, and I don't know if there's any pivots along the way, so they need to allow for that. But I don't know if we're getting it, but there is plans to irrigate more out of there.
Oh, yeah. And we've played with the Watershed Authority in the past, and it is a lot of paperwork, but usually they're there to help. So hopefully you guys get her, because there might come a time where my 3-bushel crop isn't going to cut her anymore. You're going to have to grow the crop on irrigation.
Yes. Yeah, because we've had them 3, well, maybe not 3, but definitely 5-bushel durum in the last couple of years.
Well, I should say I had crop insurance out, and they wrote the crop off. Durum seeded early at 3.5 is what their yield estimate was on that field. So the plan is to terminate it ASAP. There's nothing there to cut and bale. It's 3 inches tall and head it out. So it's time to just kill it and get on with, making that chem follow. So, but you guys you're also stripper headers and disc drill operation, right?
Yes, we just switched last fall, I guess, would have been our first harvest with stripper headers. I don't know, we got variable speed ones, and our combines put a lot of power to them, and we had issues with the bearings on the variable drives. We had one field fire that way. It was about 50 or 80 acres. That was scary on a windy day. And probably about 8 other times that we almost started a fire, but we got a fix for that. We're going to fixed speed because our combines have variable speed feeder houses. But other than that, the principle behind it is definitely worth it in our area. I wouldn't say in Tyler's area it would be worth it, but you definitely, we've noticed a lot like difference between our crops and the neighbors that don't have them.
And that's Schumachers, or what kind of strippers?
Shelbourne.
Shelbournes, yeah.
Yeah. Shelbourne, they're from England or UK or something like that.
And I think K-Hart, I think they're working on designing and prototyping.
I think they released it, or I don't know. I've seen like ads out for it, so I would assume you can buy it now. That they're the Razor is what they call theirs.
So for the people at home that don't know what a stripper header is, do you care to explain what one is?
So instead of having your reel and draper like a normal header, it's got fingers on a drum and a hood that you can adjust to how you want the fingers to catch the heads of the crop. And it spins backwards and then takes the heads into like a conventional header auger and then feeds it into your combine. So if conditions are right, it looks like you didn't combine the field because it just pretty much took the kernels off.
So what kind of speed can you combine at with a stripper head?
Definitely faster than you would a draper. We did some canola last year. Well, we did all of our canola with it, and we were cruising. It all depended on humidity was a big part, but when conditions were good, you could bury the handle in first. That was about 7.5, 8 mile an hour. And I know, what's that?
How wide?
36. Yeah. And I know one time we had a big rainstorm coming and I was on the wrong end of a 1.5 mile long field. So I clicked second gear and I really didn't want to hit road gear in the field. So I might as well figured combine back, and that was almost 11 mile an hour, and it didn't really do any worse of a job than 7. Just how much wear and tear on your combine you want to put.
Are you seeing a lot less wear and tear on the combine, being you're not putting all that material through it and more just the kernels?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Your chopper knives and stuff like that is definitely a lot less wear. We have used combines, and it was our first year with them too. So I can't really have nothing to compare it against, I guess. What else?
They must take a lot of power to run, do they not? Or are they not much worse over a standard draper header?
I would say they take more power, but you gain the power back in what they're putting through the combine. Because you don't have you have no straw going through. So you don't have to actually use, your chopper's not pulling a bunch of power. In our case, we run claws. There's nothing really going through your rotors at all to rob power. So it's way easier on the combine, harder on the feeder house.
Okay. Are they fairly heavy or much the same?
They're within 1,000 pounds of a 40-foot MacDon.
Okay.
So they are 9,000 pounds.
They are heavier than a
They are, yeah.
A few guys around here have had them in the past, but the one guy there, he's actually got his for sale. Well, he's got the whole farm dispersal coming on, but that was right in the wet years. And the dry years it worked good, and he said them wet years you couldn't find the sloughs until you were stuck in them the next year, because he would just be going down the field, doopy doopy doop doop doop, seeding away stuck. It's like, where'd that slough come from? Never been there, but just how it can trap snow and stuff. But I do remember great sledding across there, the old power toboggan, and really enjoyed the old stripper stubble.
Yes, and that's one thing I never actually got to do this winter is snowmobile in the stripper stubble. Because we had some with probably 4 or 5 feet of snow in it. It would have been like the mountains.
And why not?
Why not? I got busy and was hauling a bunch of grain, and it was all blizzardy all the time. We actually got snow over here.
Yeah, I didn't have any snow. You couldn't snowmobile in the stripper stubble. So with the stripper stubble, then obviously you have to get through that, especially in canola and stuff. You got to be running type of disc drill, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, no, we knew if you bought stripper headers, you needed disc drills. So we have an 1895 40-foot John Deere with a 6700 tank. CK Farms isn't the only one with a 40-foot and a 700 bushel tank. And then the other one is a 3820 Borgo with a 7950 tank.
Any preference in them two drills?
Probably would lean towards the Deere, but we have we have all the greaseless parts on it, so there's only 1 grease nipple per opener, where the Borgo is 7 grease nipples per opener.
Daily? 7 grease nipples every day per opener?
No, like twice a year.
Well, that's nothing.
No, it's not bad. The Borgo, I mean, John Deere runs your springs for your down pressure, where Borgo has the hydraulics. That's definitely a lot better for going through washouts and varying terrain. The Deere, it just works. I'm trying to think. I didn't run any of them. I was doing burn off most of the time. The Borgo, it definitely had issues plugging in, was it canola stubble? I think. I'm pretty sure it was canola stubble. But it was all settings too, like for your springs and how tight you got to have your seed boot up against your disc. So by the time my boss figured that all out, it was definitely a lot better. But the Deere just seemed to just go through anything.
Yeah. I got a neighbor of ours, quite a long way, he's a friend of mine. They got the similar John Deere, but they switched to the hydraulic versus the springs. And he said that was really improved that drill. He put the hydraulic kit on there for down pressure.
We were talking about that, and do we want to do that to a 40-foot or try to find a 60-foot and do it to a 60-foot? And, I mean, it's definitely in the cards, but also, do you want to do all that work to a 40-foot when you could get a 60-foot? But those are hard to find. It's kind of, we're still waiting to see if there's any yield difference between the two to really make any decisions on where we're going with those. Because, I mean, it all that matters is how many bushels are in the bin.
Yeah, you're right there, yep. And to see which direction a guy wants to go with drills, to see, there is some pretty good drills out there. I mean, that the K-Hart has this, their new one, the Spider, and then you get the Borgo still makes them, Pillar makes them, and Deere obviously makes them. And I think C&H still makes their version too. It's very similar to a Deere, I think.
I believe they do. I just don't know if they mid-row band fertilizer or not. I haven't seen any with the mid-row banders set up on them.
Oh, yeah. So you guys are running mid-rows?
Yes, we are.
10-inch spacings in mid-rows, or 7s, or 12s?
Or mid-rows.
And what type of fertilizer are you putting down? Granular, NH3, liquid?
All granular.
All granular.
Two different blends. We have again, I'm not the numbers guy, but the high nitrogen blend goes down the mid-row, and then we run MESZ with the seed.
Yeah. And that's pretty common, is put your phos with the seed and your high nitrogen sulfur down the mid rows, or in my case, sideband on the Vatterstads. And I'm dry in sulfur, but I'm liquid phos, and Tyler's the exact opposite.
Yeah, just about everything on my family farm is all liquid, except for just a small amount of granular phos. Everything else goes down liquid on a little wart that's on the side of the boot.
So do you find pulling that much, like liquid cart, granular cart, do you have issues with compaction?
Not really in our area. Like we got enough moisture, it doesn't seem to be a problem. And on top of it, I'm running my family farm, we're running 5810 Borgo air drills, so we have zero control over our packing pressure. And we got a neighbor that's doing much the same thing as us, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, his setup's a little different. He's got his liquid cart behind the tractor, then there's the drill, and then the air tank behind where our toolbar leads. but we're growing just as good a crop as him. So it doesn't really seem to be an issue in our area because most years we get nicely timed rains and it just seems to work out for us. Little bit more in the canola we see an issue, but Dallas is flipping me off again.
Yeah, him and his timed rains. Actually, it's something I was thinking about. Actually, I was out spraying the other day, and we're getting a lot of gophers back in this area. It's in ground squirrels for the rest of the world. The guys that, have the anhydrous bars, and you go out in the fall and you deep man your anhydrous, does that nuke them little bastards? Because I might have to switch to anhydrous if it can kill gophers. Does that actually work?
Actually, I have seen it on Facebook Marketplace where it is a gopher exterminator, and it almost looks like one of them suction cup things from like the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show where they put it over Bugs Bunny's hole and try to gas him out. It looks exactly like that, and it actually had a small anhydrous pig that was with it, and they were using anhydrous ammonia. Like, I don't know, it probably works well, but a 22 does a lot nicer job, and you can do that job with your buddies on a Saturday afternoon. We're also noticing this year there's a lot of gophers starting to pop up. So I don't know if it's just a year across the prairies or what the deal is.
We'll have to check with Nick, with him and his anhydrous system there. If we find his gophers are going up or down.
We found with our stripper stubble, we have a lot less because they don't like to be in it because they can't see.
Okay.
And it's also way harder to shoot them.
There's a lot to be shot out there. Oh, it's during the wet years. They were almost extincted themselves. Between they drowned it out or diseasing, they were almost gone. And I pretty well went a couple of years, didn't shoot a gopher, and I wish I would have shot the last few out there. But no, they're coming back and with a vengeance too. And you can just watch them work their way in from the outside of the field in. So gophers are a pain in the ass. Yep, that's for sure. So back to the farming topic here. You and I are both kind of the sprayer guys, and we're obviously friends. People can figure that out pretty quickly. How did your burn-off work for you this year? Were you happy with your burn-off in these drier conditions, or now that you've done the in-crop, or, are you like me, a little disappointed a couple of times?
Our burn-off was okay. We had some bad glyphosate that separated over winter that didn't do a very good job. So
Starts with an F? Maybe? No? Okay.
No, it's the name was, it was out of Swift Current, and it's Advantage glyphosate. So we called it the disadvantage glyphosate.
How do you get it back in suspension?
What we did is we took a 1-inch square tubing, stuck it in there, and then just blew with an air compressor and mixed it up that way as best as we could. And it worked, but it didn't work great.
Didn't make foam for like 6 miles?
No, it didn't actually. You could get most of it mixed up without it foaming over.
I might have a tote of glyphosate that is in 2 different colors too. Have to do something with.
Don't use it on anything you're seeding lentils in. We sprayed it ahead of the canola because, at least in canola you can fix that problem.
And that's where my poor burn-off is in front of about 1,000 acres of lentils. I don't know if it was poor glyphosate. Conditions were awesome. I checked the books. It was May 3rd. It might have been a hair on the warm side, but I was using like 7.5 gallons of water. And that's my worst burn off I had in a long time. It was almost a liter of 540 and Goldwing. And boy, I'm very disappointed in that burn off.
And that's the worst crop to have a terrible burn off.
Yeah, there's no fixing that. Actually, that's one of the crops that Danita and I, we drove by on our crop tour tonight. We looked by that and she's like, why is that so weedy? And I spread the burn off. What can you spray in there? And I said, when I kill the lentils, I'll kill it then. Until then, it's going to be there. But
and that's probably your best crop of lentils on the farm, is it?
No, that's one of the worst crop of lentils. That has to grow 3 more inches to clear the stubble. So I don't.
And you didn't have very good stubble to begin with.
No, and that's not stripper stubble. That stubble might be 7 inches tall. So most likely them lentils are 4 inches tall, and they're starting to flower.
Maybe by the time this podcast comes out, those lentils might be rode off and it might be sprayed out with some good glyphosate by then.
I still have to get rid of that stuff that's in 2 different colors. And that's one thing I think we've been buying some of this cheaper glyphosate. It's made on the other side of the pond. And maybe a guy is going to have to start going to maybe, an RT or a Vector or right back to just, Transorb and spend the money and maybe buy a higher quality product. Because I think we're being shortchanged. We're shortchanging ourselves by being cheap. Because glyphosate is back down to being reasonably priced and we're buying this crappy product. And I think we're paying for it the wrong way.
I think so too. I think we went back to RT or I'm pretty sure RT 540. And then we kind of shop around for chemical too, so we had a little bit of everything. And then usually the first pass on the True Flex canola gets good Roundup, like Roundup Transorb.
That's one thing we do on our family farm too, is we shop around. In COVID times there, we built a chemical shed just because chemical was getting short. So we thought, if a good deal comes up, we're going to buy a year or two's worth of chemical, and it's going to go in our shed, and then we're going to have it. And it's what we've made up in savings buying in the off season. It's just about paid for the shed. So in our eyes, it was a very good investment. Now, mind you, I haven't penciled in heating that building and everything to that, and insurance and whatnot, but it doesn't take long for all those dollars and pennies to add up.
Well, even a couple of years ago when I finished, I had a couple of things I talked about returning, and maybe it was just a good salesman said, you can bring her back. But I already know our prices are going up 15 or 20% next spring. So if you can store it, store it. So that's what I did. But I haven't been keeping my chemical heated. I've been letting her freeze, with exception to that Goldwing, which I know was brand new this year, and that glyphosate, whatever. But the rest of my burn up. But you can tell in the corners where I wheeled into the ditch there, I smoked that grass to the ground, but I didn't touch the flex weed. I don't understand it, but it just was goofy.
I'm sure just a few phone calls of shopping around, and I'm sure my boss saves my wage per year in chemical.
Well, I mean, that's a new pickup just by buying early. We always bring in our liquid FOSS, usually the best prices, that October, September range. And then you want to speak for it then, they get it delivered in the winter. Because this year, at the end of seeding, we brought in a load. Well, I think it was 50 cents a liter more than we paid in the fall. So it's a massive savings by having that storage. And the same with the dry fertilizer. We always speak for that in the fall, bring it in the wintertime, and then just hope it doesn't set up in the bin.
Do you haul your fertilizer yourself, Dallas?
Yeah. We'd have to go to Kincaid for it. So I usually try to wait for really dry pavement if I can. I always figure that drier the moisture, the drier the pavement. I don't want slop and slush when I'm hauling it, and then I find it just... You put it in, we don't screen it in, but we always screen it coming out because you got to screen that fertilizer now. It's so chunky and garbagey. It just gives nothing but grief if you don't screen it. But speaking of trucks,
the same thing.
Speaking of trucks, I've seen some videos. I think you drive a pretty shiny one there. What's the details of that bad boy?
It just so happened when I started, we had a semi go down, and it was right before truck prices went up, and that one was on Kijiji. It's a 2016 Pete 389. It's a beautiful truck. Tyler, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was originally Winnipeg Peterbilt's show truck that they showed in their showroom for 2016. Then it was bought and it pulled bottles, Super Bs, and we bought it off a bull hauler, and we are the third owners of it. And I don't own it on paper, but it is my truck.
Somebody touches your truck, they're in trouble.
Yeah. I don't even my boots or shoes do not touch those pedals. Every time I get in and out, shoes on and off. It is a sock-driven truck.
Slipper princess. Well, if your boss is looking for another Peterbilt, my father-in-law has a deal for you. He's got a 2020 Peterbilt 389. Unfortunately, it's a short hood, but the rest of the specs are good on it. It's got the QSX Cummins in it, 565 horse, 18 speed, Super 40 rears. It's got a pusher axle on it, but that can easily be taken off. It's got a product pump on it because it was pulling a triaxle bottle, but it's never done infield work. It's got a moose catcher on the front. It's ready to go to work. It's got a brand new mill in it, brand new transmission. So if anybody's listening to this, shoot me a message and I'll let you know if it's still for sale.
Does it have the Canadian weight loss kit?
What's the Canadian weight loss kit?
Deleted.
It may or may not have.
Come on down to Tyler's Discount Trucks, where we got trucks for all you need for trucks from here to there. You name it, we got it. And if we don't got it, you don't need it. At Tyler's Discount Trucks.
It's got a nice paint. It's got a nice paint scheme on it. It's got a nice maroon red with a cream stripe down it. I think it's got about a 48-inch bunk on it. It's a nice spec truck. It's got the full interior, full gauge package. It's a nice truck. I've been on the road with it a few times for them. It's a very nice, comfortable truck to drive.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
No, they're really comfy to drive. I mean, Dallas knows what the 13 highway around my area is like. It's terrible. And with the air ride on the front, the air ride, just the low air leaf, I can do the speed limit down that highway, and my coffee cup usually doesn't fall over. So which is a win.
So it's got
Usually.
an air ride front axle?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that,
No, it does. It's a factory Peterbilt air ride at front axle and then they put in a dump switch so you can lay that bumper. Well, I can crush a beer can almost with it.
that's very cool.
That's a fancy farm truck.
It is. It is, and it goes everywhere our other trucks go. So
It sounds a lot nicer to drive, not complaining here, than the FLD 120. That's a 2000 that I drive here on my family farm, but not complaining. I quite enjoy driving that truck still. So
well, we have well, not quite that truck, but we have a Columbia that's an 01 with a Detroit. I don't mind driving that one from time to time. I wouldn't want to drive it all the time though. I don't like seeing bugs hit my front grille because you sit so high in that truck.
Mhm.
That's here we have that, the newest truck we have is that 579. And I was telling the wife, I said, actually, I don't even mind driving this truck. And she's like, explain why. I said, well, it's not bad power. It's got a Canadian weight loss kit X15 in there. It's got a nice quiet cab, and them 579s have a nice quiet cab, and an automatic in that one, which is, an old guy like me, sometimes not missing a gear seems like a good thing. And it's just quiet, smooth, easy running truck for a little run around the farm truck. But I haven't drove and this has my name on it. I have that 04 I International with the NASCAR edition truck. It's number 30 of 200. And that just had a new weight loss kit done to it too. It's got all the EGRs been removed, all the intakes been changed. I haven't drove it yet. It just come out of the shop, but the mechanic was driving it. But the file that's in there, he was boosting 38 to 40 PSI when he was working on it. So that truck, he said, now it's going to make a lot of steam.
Yeah, that'll pull good. That's where I'm at for boost on the Pete. And I don't know whoever tuned it. We might know who that is, but what he put in it, but it pulls good. It used to, when he tuned it and pulled the old file, he said it had fuel for over 700 horse, and he said, you must be a good driver, else that thing would have blew up.
Oh, that might be the same tractor hacker that I know.
It definitely is the same tractor hacker,
Okay, yeah. We should get him on the podcast here someday, Tyler.
I'd love
give
to.
him his mysterious
It'd
voice.
be really nice to talk to somebody that knows that stuff, and they don't even have to reveal their name. I'm sure we could figure out something to edit their voice so it's not recognizable, but
yeah.
We'll get that in the works, and we'll do it here one day.
Because like I've said before, that deleting diesel trucks throughout North America has to be a multi-billion-dollar industry spent on removing the emissions crap that we paid for at the factory, that we put on there, that choke the engine down, that fill them full of smog, that make them regurgitate their own exhaust. We're spraying them full of fertilizer to cut the emissions down. We're cutting the fuel mileage in half. So then we spend tens of thousands to remove all that garbage to make it run like a high-efficiency truck should run like.
And there's a reason a lot of the new trucks, like from DEF forward, don't have EGT gauges anymore, because they get scary hot.
Yeah, that's fix the problem, remove the gauge.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
Well, it's like I seen a meme the other day. Fords will no longer come with a check engine light because you already know it's going to be on.
They're probably putting that extra budget into the heated tailgate.
So you can push it home and not get frostbite in your fingertips.
We're going to get some hate over that one.
they since we're going into it now, I'm not going to stop. They say since 2015 till now, 80% of the Fords are still on the road. The other 10% made it home.
Yes. One of my good buddies is one of the main tow truck operators out of Swift Current. I know what he has to pick up all the time, and there's a few Fords. Let's just say that.
I think, actually, unrealistically, I think now almost all the new ones give so much grief until they get on a Canadian weight loss kit. And then they kind of bulletproof them, and then they're just so much better.
But you look at the new trucks, and this, like, I have an 07 Classic Duramax with 560,000 K on it. Original motor, I've done the trans and torque converter. But you look at the new ones, just your gauges and your screens, are they going to last that long?
Probably not.
Nothing. No.
Like Dallas says it lots here on the podcast, planned obsolescence.
It is. They want you to trade it off. And I couldn't see myself buying a new truck. And besides the fact they're over $100,000, and keeping it as long as I've kept this truck.
Well, that's another thing, and Dallas often brings it up here, and I'm quite proud of it. It's like a 1984 Case 2094. It's got over 40,000 hours on it. Well, we got a Case Puma 200, that's our main chore tractor, there's not a chance in hell that it's ever going to last that long. Like, it's going to be done by the time it hits that 10,000 hour mark. And I don't care what color it is, if it's green, blue, red, or purple, they're all the same way. None of them are going to last that long unless you do a complete rebuild on them. And that 2094, it's never had a complete rebuild. It's had the engine done in it once at about 8,000 hours, and it didn't even need it at that time. It was still running. So you can't tell me this new stuff is better mechanically, in a sense, in a way. And they, like you guys are just saying, it's much worse with all this electronic bullcrap they're putting on it.
Another good example I have of that is the flush by I ran had a 6NZ cat, 475 horse, wasn't hopped up or nothing. And you know how they say idling kills a diesel? Well, have you ever, if you don't know what a flush by does, it sits there and runs a hydraulic pump or a fluid pump at just off an idle all day. And that truck had 54,000 hours on it, and the only thing ever done to it was one set of injectors. It has never been opened up. And that was just good maintenance, oil changes every 150 hours, and it ran like the day it was made.
That's key. Good oil and good oil changes, keeping them current. Because you let that oil get broken down, sooty and black, then it just, it's not good. So that maintenance is key.
Yeah, it's amazing what just routine maintenance, how long it'll make a machine last, no matter what it is. If it's your passenger car, piece of farm equipment, highway tractor, or even a boat, it's amazing how long they will last with just, like Dallas said, good oil, routine maintenance, and actually caring about it.
And now you get a lot of this new stuff, combines and all that stuff in the same way. You have so many sensors on there that'll shut you down for air intake or this or that. And most likely it's not a high air intake temperature. It's probably a shot sensor. I had a buddy, he had a New Holland, I think it was a CR970. It was an older, smaller one, but his kept flashing an air intake temperature code. And he's like, it's clean. It's fine. It just skewed. He said, I pulled that sensor out, shoved it in a bag of frozen peas. I was good for about an hour, because he could freeze the sensor and trick the computer and make it go. And even on my NASCAR truck years ago, I got a different EGR will not open up at over 8,000 feet. So I got a different little altimeter chip I put in that truck. It caused some other issues, but it just told the engine it's at 8,000 feet the whole time, and it never would have. It was just a quick little, I think they called it the ugly fix. It was a quick little delete. You just put in there, snap the chip in, just lied to the computer is all it did. It worked okay, and then all of a sudden it didn't, so something screwed up. But it's now fully deleted and ready to rock and roll.
And that's a Cummins in that one?
Yeah, that's a ISX, just a 475.
Now you just need somebody to polish that truck for you.
Right. I'll bring her over. That truck needs a polish. That truck, when I bought it, especially being that deckled up the way it is, I like different stacks on it, but being that numbered NASCAR truck, it's pretty sharp looking just because of how there's so few of them out here with that striping package. It's got its own very unique look. And then I got do you
do any polishing or anything on your farm, Dallas?
No. You?
Just liquid polish is kind of, but I want to. Been bugging my boss to get me the stuff to do it properly so I can, keep up on the peat, because it's starting to, we're the first ones that ever put it on gravel, so it's starting to show, but it still shines up really good.
I'll give you some advice. Do not buy Zephyr. I did polishing off and on for a few winters for some beer money, and I don't have time to do it anymore, being that I'm married and have kids now, but I used Manzurna polishing mark. Okay. And they were the best. They were the hardest ones. Like, you don't want to burn the aluminum. They were the hardest ones to put a burn mark in the aluminum. And they worked the best in our climate, I found, and they did the richest shine. They were the most user-friendly, I guess I should say, for an inexperienced polisher.
And did you get them, locally or online?
I got them online, and if you're seriously looking into it, you can talk to me after this, and I'll send you in a direction where to get them.
Sounds good.
But if anybody's listening and you want to do your own polishing, I recommend, if you think it needs to be sanded, it needs it. I always started out at 180, 320, 400, and then 600. And if you sand it properly, you don't need to sand any more above 600 grit. If you're using the proper buffing wheel and the proper compound, you should be able, with no problem, be able to take out 600 grit sandpaper mark.
I know I was watching a video from Tony Fast here, who was also on this podcast, and they have a rule in their farm. If the tires are off the truck, the wheels get polished.
See, he's got one of them, like, it's a 3-phase polisher. Like, that's for the guys that are doing it every day. So he is very fortunate. The way I do it is I got a little jig I set up. I made it out of a lathe chuck and a jack I bought from Princess Auto. So I can actually do mine with the tire still mounted on the rim. So it stands up and it leans back probably about a 7-degree angle almost. And I can sand it and it spins, and then I can buff it and it spins, and it's really nice when you can have the wheels spinning. It sucks when the wheels sitting stationary. Like, when I was doing it, I always told guys, you got to pull the wheels if you want me to do a proper job. Pulling the wheels to polish them is the easiest way. And I kind of wish I had that rule on our farm, but it comes down to time too, right? Like, sometimes you got to do, okay, I got all this to do. Do I really need to be putting a shine on this?
I wish I had that much time and that stuff to get it done, or the money or the knowledge or a better back. I get a lot of excuses why I'm not going to do that, but I just want to hire somebody to come do it. Would be awesome, because my trucks would look good if they're shined up. Oh, all trucks look good if they're shined up. That's the key. And in a shined up truck is just like when you wash your pickup. You give it a little more respect. I think you drive it more respectfully when it looks good, when it sounds good, dash is clean, it's not covered with junk. And when it just becomes an old farm truck, who gives a rat's ass? And you just drive the bag off it all the time.
So when I went to go get my 1A, I took a 1-week course. It was before we had this whole program you had to go to. And one of the instructors at it was a former DOT officer. And he straight up said, when I was looking at trucks, if I seen one that was all clean and shined up and chromed to the nines, and it showed that the guy had some pride in it, a lot of times I didn't even look at him, because, well, if he's gone to that much effort, everything else is probably up to snuff on that truck. But if I seen one in that was dirty, still had salt on it from winter, and we're in June, there's probably a pretty good chance there's a lot wrong with that truck, because that guy doesn't give a damn. So that's the guy I would look at. So that's one thing. I always try to keep our trucks clean and polished if I can, and in hopes that that's true for other DOT officers.
And
I've experienced that too. You keep your stuff clean, and I've hauling oil all over it. It shows, and I've ran through scales multiple times, and I've never ever had an issue. Just a quick tip for anybody hauling fluid through scales: tap your brakes before you go on the scales. They can't read your weights.
They get some sloshing.
Yeah.
Light, heavy, last screw it, wave them through. Speaking of polished, I seen a snap from you the other day. Derby car. I need to know more details on this.
Yes. Okay, so that one was Swift Current. It was the first one we've done with the fair. So there was only 6 cars that showed up, because it was a Thursday at 8:30. So kind of a terrible time to get cars, but no, it was fun. Between my buddy Dakota and me, we built that engine. I don't know when we started it. Would have been probably 2019, but we got it up to, probably well north of 400 horse, and it can run with no coolant at 300 degrees.
In a derby car?
Yep.
400 horse in a derby car. You need that much power?
Yes. When do you not need power?
You probably heard that clip from Tony Reed and his buddy there. Horsepower's like sex, Tony. Yeah. Never had too much, or something like that.
Never have too much.
Never have too much.
I have a terrible habit of, I can't leave anything stock ever. Like, I'm surprised my wife's Acadia, I haven't done anything to it.
So how'd you do in the Derby?
That car his wife ran with all his parts. She blew the diff first heat.
Oh.
Yeah, and then, I took Thursday off, got to his place. He's like, I was Snapchatting him on my way to Swift, and he's like, I think I'm going to go get a car from low cost, one of the ones. We built the Derby car in 5 hours. And he got Mad Dog in that thing, so he got the hardest hits.
So Mad Dogs means you got the hardest hits.
Yeah, or drove the hardest, because at 11 o'clock in the morning, that car, you could have put plates on it and drove it in town. It had full interior, windows, everything, and by 5:30 we were in the pits, and I was still welding on it, but it had made it into the ring, and it made it to the feature, and he got Mad Dog.
Okay.
Speaking about demolition derbies, I was at a demolition derby in Brandon one time, and somebody literally drove in, had plates on the car, pulled the plates off, pulled all the windows out, chained the bumpers. They had the fuel tank in the trunk already, but they moved it up to where it had to be for that derby, and it went in the derby. like they were an hour and it was ready to go derbying. And they literally drove it up 18th Street in Brandon to the Derby at Keystone Center.
The big thing is, did they drive it back home?
What was that, sorry?
Back home?
No, it was done.
It's even better after the Derby. You put the plate back on it and you drive it back home. That's the ultimate Derby car, and with a trophy next to you.
Speaking of plates on a Derby car, we went down to South Dakota, Rapid City, 2 years ago, and we found out the hard way we should have had that car insured, because coming back across the line, they wanted to see proof of ownership.
Oh, to make sure you just weren't importing whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we learned that the hard way.
So did you get it home, or did you get it home, or is it a permanent fixture in the States?
No, we got it home. We got it home. We showed up to the border crossing about 20 minutes before they closed, so they kind of we fast tracked through that one. But they just told us next time get whatever going down, so we have the paperwork coming back.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that motor was in that car, so it was coming back no matter what. We would have pulled it right at the border.
I don't need the rest of the car, but that motor and trans really should come with me.
Yeah. You guys don't have any old cars around your area that need to be removed? If anybody has a late 60s Imperial or a late 60s roundback wagon, so like your Vista Cruisers and all those, let me know.
That is on TikTok. I'll give you can plug your own handle there on TikTok.
I'm King of Pilsner on TikTok. You can just comment on whatever and message me, and we'll figure something out, because those are getting hard to find.
Yep. We should lead into some mental health stuff here, Kyle. You can butt in and say your part whenever you want. As you all know, Tyler and I are both huge fans of what the Saskatchewan government and Saskatchewan mental health has done here with the farm stress line, because we have to get past that stereotype that farmers are big, tough guys that don't need any help. Well, if I'm going to pull the motor out of my Derby car, I'm going to need some help. If I'm having a tough time and I can't handle issues in my life, you have to get to the point where you can say, I need a little help. And that's where you need to be able to call, if you're in the farming or agriculture business, the farm stress line, 1-800-667-4442. Because, it might only be a 5-minute conversation, but you can say what you need to get said. You might be able to hear what you need to hear and get past that stereotype that big, tough farmers and ranchers don't need help, mental help, because we all need a little break.
That's not only for the people that own the farm, that employees too. Like, I mean, you get busy seasons, bosses are here, there, everywhere, and you're left with a lot of responsibility too. It's everybody.
And a lot of times they're not the most friendly person to be around too.
Oh, yeah.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And you're right, very right there, Kyle. You're down on the list. If you're a hired man or whatever, all of a sudden the boss, he's having a bad day. Guess who's getting shit on? The hired man. Now he has to deal with that stress and try to make do of what the boss just dumped on him, or his own issues. Maybe he didn't mean to seat over that rock pile, or having his own issues and wants to do a good job. Well, and you can't say it, but now you know you can say it. And because holding them feelings in, bury them deep inside, they're just going to erupt into a mountain of badness. If you can say that and get it out, talk to somebody, talk through these things, it'll do nothing but good. There's no harm in admitting that you have to talk to somebody. Whether it's not even like we've all mentioned before, it's not even the owners, it's the hired man, it could be the wives, it could be, people in general, right from the agriculture producers, the guy that runs the convenience store has to deal with this stuff too. We all have issues, but you have to know there is somebody to talk to.
So once again, that number is 1-800-667-4442. That's the Saskatchewan Farm Stress Line. And there's so many other numbers out there too. There's a suicide hotline. That's 811. If you just go on Google and look it up for mental health, there's so many other numbers and organizations out there willing to help you at no cost. In Saskatchewan, if you're eligible, you're able to get up to 6 free hours of counseling.
Yeah, and if you're a young guy listening to this, young kid, there's the kids' help phone. If you're in trouble, phone this number, 1-800-668-6868. I mean, there's somebody there. You don't got to give your name, but there's somebody there that's going to help you talk through some things, and that's there to listen and there to be nothing but on your side. Because it's no matter what you do in life, there's stress involved in it. I'm sure bankers that work 9 to 5 probably have tough days. And if you have problems, there's somebody there to listen to. Speaking of long hours, Tyler and I were talking about this before. You're one of the hired men there. You're probably April, May, June. You're probably 400 hours a month. Like, how do you finish spring seeding? You're probably just flat out on the couch for a few days. I know I am.
For a couple, and then we got to set up our irrigation pumps, start that project. So we're always busy, but we scale back. It's it doesn't need to get done all in a day. We can take a couple days to do something, but then we do put up some hay too and just sell it. So that's not much, but there's that too. And then we're just currently working on combines. I really feel like Matt builds right now because we got enough of our Claws combines taken apart.
Do you just watch his as a how-to video?
Somewhat, but ours are newer. So there's similarities and differences. So I kind of do, but the guys I'm working for, they've had Claws since, I want to say 2015. So we kind of know them inside and out. So we're pretty good with them. Like, we can have off our old 780, we can have the feeder house off if we need to in 15 minutes. Feeder house dropped on a table with two guys.
I'm that way with our New Holland combines. Not in about 15 minutes, but I can have one off in a half an hour with somebody helping me. It's more getting the belts off. Like, they got a tensioner that's about a foot long that you got to wind this little nut off that you can only get a quarter turn on. So that's what takes all the time. If it was an over center tensioner, I'd have it off in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the one that's connected to the 19-mile long belt. That's the lowest part of the entire combine, is that stupid belt.
Your combines would be much the same as mine, Dallas. And if anybody's wondering, Dallas runs CR combines, which is a twin rotor combine. On my family farm, we run CX combines. They're both New Holland combines, but there's big differences. The CRs, like I just said, are twin rotors. The CXs are a conventional combine. So the thrashing mechanism is totally different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still yellow, and they still get the same feeder house, and most likely the same shitty shaker shoe system. And there's a lot of similarities that are garbage on both combines.
There's 8 sieves too.
I'll let you know when the $44,000 repair bill of the other one, if it runs this year or not, because that was the yellow light on that one combine, was a big bill. That's the one we had all the shaker shoe problems in it. They found an arm, keeps the shaker shoe centered, that was oblonged and tore out, and that's the reason the shoe was twisted in there. So they had it out, all new bushings, fixed the arm, rebuilt the fan, well, $44,000 worth of stuff. So it better
knock on wood, we've never had that problem, but anything's possible, right? Like, we've had some mysterious stuff happen on our farm. Like, it's really, a lot of it just comes down to shit luck and getting back to the mental health thing. When that happens, you feel like you're the only one. And then just talking to people on this podcast and the stuff they've had happen, well, geez, that happened to my neighbor too, and he thought he was the only one. So we're not alone in this.
You talk to the dealership. Well, we've never had a transmission go to a combine before. They've never had a transmission go to a combine before. I know for sure they have, because I've had the first one and the next one. And then, so they go out.
We had that fire last year. And so we got my combine. I run the 780. We brought it up because one had to go to town because it swallowed some fire. And they got feeder belts in them. And I combined, I don't even know if it was 40 acres, and mine needed a call to that tractor hacker guy. So it sat for a couple days.
Yeah, that tractor hacker guy, he's quite the guy. I wish we'd just give him his mysterious voice. Hello, I'm the tractor hacker. I'm here to fix your tractor.
Then after that, it ran good, but last year we had wiring issues with one of the 8800s where we actually just ended up getting the whole half of the wiring on the combine replaced by Claws, and they were actually very reasonable priced with it too, because they know it's a problem.
We had a Cat Lexion 460 years ago, but ours was the wide body Walker combine, good capacity machine, and that was right at the end of, we got rid of that. Actually, we bought it brand new and we ran it to I think 4,000 hours or 4,400, and it went straight to combine world. At that time, Canada West wasn't back in, wasn't started. Bought new and went to the combine world, which was a sad thing. But that one, the hired man was combining right next to the fence line, and we figure lightning hit the fence just not far away from him and went down the fence line and just fried that combine right where he sat. And the auger would go in and out by itself, and it was absolutely garbage. So they had to basically rewire most of that combine.
That's a job I would not want to do.
And good enough machine, but man, we had that thing. So we had so many lentils back then, and swallowing dirt and rocks, and we'd literally wore holes right through the clean grain elevator and the return elevators. They were just, when we were done with it, it needed a $40,000 rebuild on a $25,000 combines. Off the combine world she went, and God bless her, she was a good machine, but she was time for a new home. Hopefully they make good use of it.
One thing as farmers, we always have that one machine that we wish we never got rid of. Whether it was good or not, there always seems to be that one machine that has that special spot in your heart.
Yeah, I wasn't that attached to this combine. The world's most famous 9280, yeah, that's got a special spot in my heart.
One that has a special spot in mine is the first self-propelled combine my dad bought. It was 1480. And we got, well, they weren't big farmers at the time in our area, but they are now. I'm sure everybody can figure out who it is. But yeah, that was the first one we bought in 2005 off of Ponch Manette. And they had 1,500 acres in 05. And then actually Daryl, I can't remember how many years ago, he bought it back just to have it as a keepsake. Because that was his grandpa. His grandpa bought that brand new.
And now they're massive.
Yep, beyond massive.
Kyle, anything you want to discuss or topic about? You're the king of Pilsner, or you're the king of farmhands.
What's the craziest farmer fix you've ever done to get you home, or get that last 20 acres done? Or
besides my buddy with his bag of peas and that sensor, that's a crazy fix. I remember, well, not even a crazy fix. I just remember my dad taught me how to weld when I was pretty young. I was a teenager. And I was seeding away way down south, and our old service truck had the welder on there. And going away, all of a sudden, the frame cracks and breaks right in one spot. And just wheeled it over to the service truck, put it back in place, and within an hour or so, it wasn't pretty, but I had her gob back together, completely broken tubing on that frame, had her right back together and right going. It wasn't a crazy fix, but I was very, very proud of myself to know that I had the skills, that my dad had taught me them, and to put it in place, to weld it up, to grind the welds down, the fish plate on all four sides, and have all the junk in the service truck to fix it and get it going. But not a crazy fix, but a proud moment in fixing. I mean, I hardly felt like I lost a beat and I was back seeding again. I can't really come up with a crazy one. What do you got for a crazy one?
I got a few. I don't know. The most recent one is, I can't remember exactly what it was on, but being a machinist, I like to weld shafts and turn them down, not just try to grind them or whatever. Well, we don't have a lathe at work. So I rigged up our Milwaukee drill. I welded a bolt to the end of a shaft, and I had that kind of propped up against the bench, and I zip tied the handle while I ground it to get, don't think it was a bearing tolerance, but it was really close to that one. And then it kind of went sideways there for a minute, but I got it done. And then another one, this was a big job on, well, you run 4440 sprayers. You know where your suspension hinges, or those knuckles?
Yeah.
Those bushings, have you ever done them?
I've had them done, but I've never actually done them, no.
Because we did our own, and it was worn to the steel just slightly. So I actually welded it, and with die grinders, and we actually purposely ground down grinding discs so I could fit them in there on an extension on a grinder to get them. I got them within probably 1 to 2 thousandths of an inch, all like roundness. So it was good enough. That was one that it was probably shouldn't have done, but we did, and it worked.
We had bought a John Deere 4450 tractor here, and we had bought it, and we knew we got hosed right off the bat when the guy wanted to deliver the tractor at 3:00 in the morning when nobody was around. So we got it, and it delivered, and he left, and he made sure he delivered it when nobody was here. And yeah, so we got it into the shop and looking at things. Yeah, the motor was fairly recent, and it had a slapped on, crappy paint job. And we pushed down on the front end loader, and the whole front end just kind of stayed about a 1/2 inch slop in that pivot pin. And so we took it apart, and somebody at one time had cut down like a collar off of like 2 7/8 oil filled tubing, and had cut them, wedged them in at the top, and almost wore through them, and that was just to fill the gap. So here we bought this fairly expensive 4450 tractor, front wheel assist, new tires, new paint, wore out tractor. So the tractor has not left 100 feet from the shop into the shop, and we've rolled the entire front end out. And that was the same. We didn't have a lathe. I welded all that up, air die grind, zip disc to get that back to where the pin just fit through. It was a real, real piss off when you spend that kind of money. And then the guy conveniently stopped answering his phone after that. So I'd like to track him down someday and give him a piece of my mind and something else. Tip of my boot too, actually. I don't wear boots, so it's really hard to kick some of the ass when you're wearing sandals. It's almost more harder on your foot than his ass.
You're a flip-flop guy?
Oh yeah, I'm the king of flip-flops. You can't make me wear boots. I better be snowmobiling, and it better be winter if I'm going to wear boots. Until then, I'm in sandals or Crocs.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Summertime, flip-flops come out and pretty much stay out.
Well, I almost make sure now in a lot of my videos I show my sandals in them just because I can.
It gets people going. I read some of these comments, and you get eaten alive in some videos.
Oh yeah, I'm okay with the ribbon like that in a video. They're just making fun of boots and my feet, and they don't know that I battle severe heat rash on my feet. If I put my feet on a warm day in a pair of boots, they blister and look like I got chicken pox all over my feet. They're just wrecked. But if I can keep my feet breezy and cool and walk carefully around the mud puddles, I don't battle that. But I put my feet in boots and I get them hot. I have just the top of my feet look like hamburger, and that is the worst thing ever. So, I mean, I don't mind wearing boots. I have good Red Wings boots. They're comfortable, but they're too damn hot. So that's why I'm back to flip-flops and sandals and socks and Crocs and socks. And I'll wear them from March to December.
Yeah, I don't get the rash, but my feet get hot quick. Like back in the oil patch, I got I think it was in 2013 or 14, I got a set of Red Wings, uninsulated. I wore them all year. Wintertime, I would just throw on an extra pair of socks if I needed to. That's all I would wear.
Yeah.
I struggle with my feet getting hot too. Unfortunately, I don't get heat rash on my feet. I am able to handle it. I used to wear Red Wing boots, and I actually bought myself a set of Brunt boots. And I've been trying to get Brunt to come on and sponsor Dallas and I with no success. So if somebody's listening from Brunt, or somebody knows how we can get a hold of somebody at Brunt, drop me a message. But those Brunt boots are some of the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. Unfortunately, they don't have any that are that CSA approved that we require here in Canada for in the oil patch. But on my own family farm, I don't need that. So I'm good in that aspect.
Or if you have a pair of boots that you think are as good or better quality of Brunts then, and you want to, give the old Bunny Hug Farmers podcast a sponsorship, we'll be willing to test run a pair of boots for you. And especially if they're nice and cool and breezy, maybe shaped like sandals, I'd be really in favor of them.
You can get a hold of us at bunnyhugfarmers@outlook.com.
What is that again? The Bunny Hug Farmers at Outlook.
No, it's just bunnyhugfarmers@outlook.com.
Ah, yes. And I'm sure that'll be in the description on this podcast.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. I'll put that in there.
You can title this episode Flip-Flops and Small Blocks.
But if you're looking to maybe, get a hold of Tyler and I to discuss topics for this podcast, or maybe you're looking to try to do a little sponsorship for a couple of farmers that are just doing this for the fun of doing it, send an email to Tyler there. We'll see what happens. Or if you're maybe Dots Pretzels, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you want to sponsor a podcast because nobody loves pretzels more than a couple of farmers here, we'd like that. And so Tyler and I are big fans of the snacks, and I'm sure Kyle's not afraid of a couple of snacks along his way.
I like my Hawkins cheesies, not going to lie.
Oh, yeah, I've mentioned them before many times. That's a good Canadian company. I'd be okay with Hawkins cheesies wanting to step up and sponsor a few episodes of the podcast.
We might have to reach out to a few of these people and see if they'd be interested.
Well, I mean, we messaged Cowboys Caviar, and they hooked us up with a huge box of jerky, but unfortunately, that box of jerky has gone dry.
And I would like to apologize to Cowboys Caviar. We were pronouncing their name wrong. We were calling it Cowboy Caviar, and it's Cowboys Caviar.
Yeah, there's an S in there. I was informed that there's an S there. I was like, really? But that's just I think that's just, everybody's just kind of always said Cowboy Caviar, but it's Cowboys Caviar. And that's some of the best jerky here. We're going to keep plugging them. That's some of the best jerky you'll ever find. Especially being a Saskatchewan-made product, it makes it even better yet. But made right in Moose Jaw, she's some of the best. And I went all the way to Yellowstone and back, and I refused to buy any other beef jerky when I was in the States. I'm like, nope, I can wait till I get back to Canada so I can.
You made up for it and bought yourself some Dots pretzels. How's your stash going?
Oh, I haven't tackled into them yet. We ate the Parmesan garlic when we were down in the States. So those are really good. But I think the next one I'm going to try is probably the originals. But they're good. I haven't tackled in yet, but we're going to get into them here right away. Okay, folks, we're getting a little long in the tooth here. So about time to thank you all for listening. We've really enjoyed making these podcasts. I got to thank Kyle Perron here for coming on and joining us. He's the old King of Pilsner on TikTok. Give him a follow. He's got some pretty fun content on there. We're the Bunny Hug Farmers, Tyler, Jane, and myself. We both, and all of us, and all the guests we've had, we thank everybody for listening to us. We're on pretty well all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple, and all them. So if you're listening to this, give a thumbs up, leave a comment there. We really appreciate it.